Maybe the Skywalker term is now a name for a Force user just in general.
If Luke Skywalker can project his Force Ghost to another planet, why can't Force Ghost be projected through time?
It's a bunch of clones specifically of Rey, and she's just hanging on, this is gross, meat hooks.
Oh God, meat hooks! Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Filup Molina, and this is Rogue Theory. Today, we're talking about brains because they're being melted because of Rise of Skywalker. Not just because the trailer came out, and I'm so pumped about it, but well, you guys know we've been talking about it nonstop. But also, there's like news about Rise of Skywalker that is crazy, crazy, crazy. And we're gonna get into it on today's episode. We have Erik Voss from New Rockstars, of course. Sam Bashor, guys. Sam Bashor back. Yay! Marina Mastros also back. Yay! Okay, we have to predict what crazy stuff. I'm like pretty pumped about this.
All right, shut up. We gotta do this
exactly.
now.
I really want to talk about Star Wars. There's crazy stuff also that's going to happen in Watchmen because Watchmen was really crazy. We're going to talk about that later, but who cares? The last trailer of Rise of Skywalker came out this week. You can see Erik did a really great breakdown of it. Already, there's so much like that they're also hiding from us, even though they showed us a lot of new stuff. So I've been really excited to tell you guys about this.
You're like keeping yourself together right
because, Kevin Smith a few months ago said something that blew my mind about his mind being blown. And now I can't wait to talk to you guys about it and you guys about it. All right. So he visited the set of Rise of Skywalker and he was going to, just take a tour of all the different locations. And this is big, guys. Listen to this. Okay. So there was, I guess, a room that was like, oh, by the way, in that room is the final shot of the movie, the set. That's what's in there. And the crew member that pointed out said, but if you look, it'll blow your mind.
Whoa.
And now I feel like that didn't like land as high.
Oh, sorry.
That's the big
but
deal.
the end of the story is,
captivated.
did he look?
Okay, so he didn't look, but here's the biggest like justification of why I'm freaking out about it. Because he asked his old friend J.J. Abrams. He said, I mean, like I can look in that room, and J.J.'s like, no. If you look in that room,
like
it'll ruin the entire movie for you.
Wow.
Just based on the location. That was a much better reaction than
I was prepared now.
Erik's still waiting for a bigger one. And then, Erik, your family's here.
When's the shoe gonna drop?
He said the whole movie would be spoiled for him if he saw what was in that room, and that it was mind blowing.
Wasn't Harrison Ford just mooning him in there? He's like, JJ's like, don't go in there.
Look at me.
Is it
Somebody
coming?
come in.
Is it coming?
Somebody's in here.
Eye contact with me.
Gonna blow your mind.
Guys, blow our minds. How will the last set, the last scene, the last location of Rise of Skywalker melt our minds?
By just seeing the set alone.
Just the set
seeing the set
alone
alone
should melt our minds. I want to hear some theories.
Okay, just if you walked into a set and you were like, now my mind's blown. It's a bunch of clones, right? Because that exists. And it's a bunch of clones specifically of Rey, and she's just hanging on, this is gross, meat hooks.
Oh God, meat hooks. Meat hooks.
Everywhere. And
like they're going through her body and they killed all these clones.
They're not alive. They're not like alive yet, but it's a bunch of
souls.
clones of.
Yeah, clones are never truly
Famously.
alive.
Or twins.
It's Star Wars
Yeah,
canon.
or twins. For sure.
You get one soul across all triplets.
Yeah. One
Dolly
of
the
them is
sheep was
always
a piece
evil.
of shit.
She was very mean to you that one time.
Yeah, but that's
2000.
it. It's just like if he had walked into that set, then he'd be like, oh my God, this whole thing is just a bunch of clones of Rey. And
Which
then,
would be Rey clone confirmed.
yes,
Which would be huge. Okay, so whose clones are they?
They're Palpatine's clones.
Ooh,
that he
big
made them. Yeah,
detail
of course.
to
So he wanted
get
to have
into.
his own personal, army.
Clone army?
Wait,
would
so
you say?
he
Yeah,
owns the
clone army.
clones. It's not his DNA. He's a clone owner.
He's a cloner.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah, he owns
Cloner,
them and he
not the
created
cloney.
them. And but he doesn't want obviously anybody to find out about it, so he keeps them in his clone closet.
Closet.
So they're good.
Interesting.
They're not out of the closet yet, but yeah.
Right, exactly.
Great. So they... Okay,
Right? That would be
No.
crazy.
I'm loving it because Palpatine... I mean, the idea of a clone army has existed, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
And it was based on kind of like a great assassin, basically. They're like, what if somebody who's really
Right,
good at killing,
yeah.
we make a bunch of clones of them? Instead, it's like, wait, shut up. Do it a Jedi.
Yeah, exactly.
Make clones of a Jedi.
Right.
Also, maybe Rey is already a clone, right? This
Well,
initial Rey.
that would basically reveal that.
I'll throw out there from extended universe crap that there is a clone of Luke Skywalker, and he has the best name for a clone of Luke Skywalker.
Luke Blywalker.
Pretty close. Luke Skywalker. There's literally one more U in the name Luke.
Very
That's
good.
dumber than mine.
L-U-U-K-E Skywalker. But here's the legit part of it. It's because of his hand that's been severed.
Oh, that's very cool.
Was recovered very quickly.
Yeah.
And that was
That's
used to
very
create
cool.
Luke.
So it just
Skywalker.
it grew out the end of the hand. The
Yeah, it's like the
leftover
starfish
bits?
principle.
So they could be clones of Luke for your
Yeah.
idea, but also maybe like a Luke altered clone who's like kind of the next generation of T-800 or something is Rey. Maybe.
Or whoever the host. I mean, if you're doing it, I don't know what. If they're doing it the traditional way, where it has to be birthed by
man
a
and a
mom,
woman.
right? Like there's still a host woman who has like her DNA who could just make it female and be, Rey's mom. And there you go. Yeah.
Ooh, that kind of also
Rey's
like
mom is a surrogate.
it like verifies like when Kylo Ren kind of like throws away that your parents aren't important. It's like, oh yeah, because they just like donated their DNA and it got turned into clone warriors. That's pretty cool. But think about this.
Partial clone factory, partial sperm donation center. So you're implying
It's a big galaxy. There's a lot of options.
it would blow my own mind as a location. Where it's like, stop by this sperm donating. I gotta make some money real quick. Finn, stop.
You're hard up for cash.
Yeah, it's like, wait, how do you guys feel about this clone idea?
it's not bad.
Yeah, something's gonna blow my mind. A bunch of young Mark Hamills on meat hooks hanging from the ceiling. It's pretty
or Mark
mind-blowing.
Hamill's. Yeah, it could be that too.
I
Yeah.
have to give you one Rogie,
Yes.
and then I'll clone it for a second.
Hey!
So I'm super into because it confirms Rey's a clone. It would blow our minds, and it would also tie in the prequels, which I think is fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Sam, what do you
Okay, here you go. Think about this, and this is what people have wanted since we heard we were getting new Star Wars movies once Disney bought them. How about by the end of this movie, they've been talking about for a while that Sith bad boys, bad girls.
What
We
you
don't want
gonna
them
do?
anymore.
Right.
What you gonna do? Get rid of them. But at the same time, we're learning that the Jedi aren't all that. They're not up to snuff. That's
We're
what
very suddenly learning that.
Yes, and
in the
they're
new
really
trilogy.
trying to hammer it home as hard as they can. Even Yoda showed up in the last
Yeah.
movie and was like, you didn't even read the books, did you? You're not a real nerd. Get out of here. So
Yeah, you're not a
Right.
stan.
basically, we're learning that while the Jedi are the ones we've been trying to like follow and look up to, there might be a better way of teaching people the Force, because we know in The Last Jedi there are just people that are Force users out there in the galaxy that need to be trained in some way. So by the end of this movie, I feel like a brain-melting scene would be seeing some sort of academy or temple where they're teaching the Force, but they're not teaching Sith or Jedi. This is I'm pretty sure you've done a theory like this. There's been many theories like that out there, that the Skywalker
Don't let
name...
Eric limit you.
I want to
Go
give him a
for it.
little attaboy. Maybe the Skywalker term is now a name for a Force user just in general.
Oh,
It's
cool.
Lowercase s.
Oh, it's like the end of Buffy.
but so you're getting just Skywalker Force users, and you're getting in the sense that, and also we know that these like trilogies are cyclical. So
Yeah.
with that,
The
it
poetry.
could be in a larger cycle the return of an academy similar to the Knights of the Old Republic, where you're having teachers who are training the next generation way better than Luke Skywalker. Apparently, he's a bad teacher. We
Yeah.
found out.
Yeah, well,
Big
he
bummer.
learned from nothing, right? He learned from a
Right.
dying old man who barely taught him anything.
And now there's
Don't make
less
excuses
people.
for him. He had a chance with those kids, and then he tried to murder one of them in their sleep.
Bad
And-
teacher.
No, he
And they
was
left.
holding a warm lightsaber over his
It's a
head.
nightlight for Kylo.
The heater went out.
exactly.
You know what? Like, it is troublesome because there's even fewer Force users going forward. But maybe with Kylo and Rey coming together,
They do establish at the end of Last Jedi that there are new Force users born every day.
true. But teachers who could help them understand
Right,
what
but
they
also
could do.
piggybacking on your idea that all the existing teachers have been bad, basically, then it's
Yeah.
like, well, maybe there is a whole new way to look
They're
at
just
it.
setting up a credential system where you can actually become a teacher.
The school is to become a teacher. Just the force sensitive users that kind of could go in any direction. There's a bunch of those established. I definitely feel like if somebody were to just, Maz Kanata kind of talks about the force in a way that kind of ignores the history of the Jedi, and I think she's an example of somebody that could potentially help teach it. She, it seems, is probably force sensitive herself too.
And by the end of it, you're getting your X-Men or Harry Potter-esque school where people are going to learn how to use the Force, and they go go out and they bring peace to the galaxy. Or they don't, and we find out in the next trilogy where they mess up again. But I think by the end of this, we're going to see a unification of the Force users. So.
Look,
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Oh, they've been mentioned that a lot.
And it mirrors history, because like every 30 years we find out that the past generation's curriculum in schools were evil in some way.
Right.
It requires them to be burned down and start a new one that is now the heroic leader of the new age.
So I'm going to assign a Rogie to this idea
Yay!
because even though I think that it is very good, I really love the idea of the balance of the Force. I also think there's one issue going on with Star Wars right now where a recent film kind of like felt like it shifted the trajectory a little bit of the saga. It had this theme very heavily in there. Jedi aren't so good. I mean, Benicio del Toro's character has a monologue about it.
Are you afraid to call The Last Jedi out by name?
A recent film. Yeah. They shifted kind of what it felt like the saga had been about. So now I feel like JJ's got a job to do, which is kind of like, okay, I need to make this just make sense for 9 movies. And like this is one of the few things that I think could actually unify all the themes. I'll even throw out there that it works for Rogue One. Right, Rogue One showed a very dangerous guerrilla warfare style of like rebellion that is kind of calling out like that's not really okay either. So I'm giving you that Rogie for that. I can't give you 2 because I think it's too likely to happen.
Oh, it's not rogue enough.
It's not rogue enough.
Wow.
I think it'll happen.
Learning the rules here. Interesting.
Put some people on meat hooks and you'll be
You're
2 Rogies
earning
deep.
too many points.
Philip, I think you are exactly right that is where The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker is heading, where JJ has this gargantuan task of having to tie in all these other films.
Yeah.
And that brings me to what my theory is. I think one of the biggest mysteries from the prequels, but one that I think people want to readdress, is the origin of Anakin Skywalker. He was, Shmi said that there was no father, implying this like weird immaculate conception.
Yeah.
I heard that one.
Yeah, that's what she said, but Watto had a different story.
Yeah.
No, you look just like me.
I don't think they're gonna bring back Watto, but I do think if you think what kind of set would blow someone's mind, going back to Tatooine and seeing
That'd be cool.
like where Shmi raised Anakin as a
Yeah.
child, maybe bringing back that actress, showing Anakin's childhood bedroom with like his 3PO that he was building as a child.
Oh,
Wait,
cute.
no, we got to return to exactly what you just said. You mean in the past?
In the past.
You
Now,
mean time travel?
That's one way we could be seeing a version of time travel.
Rogue Theory,
You
right?
can
Oh,
project.
whoa.
Yeah. We're definitely seeing time travel. So it'll
Okay,
give me an
good,
extra
yeah,
block.
yeah.
Whoa.
Meat hook time machine.
Because like we can, if Luke Skywalker can project his Force Ghost to another planet, why can't Force Ghost be projected through time?
Another time, yeah.
Was Luke Skywalker sitting there in The Last Jedi on that rock for the entire several hours projecting the Force Ghost, or was he just in that moment projecting his Force Ghost a couple hours ahead to confront Kylo? Now, do I think Rey and/or Kylo Force projecting their Force Ghosts back to the past? Would that be the final shot? I don't know. That'd be a weird note to end this entire saga on. So if it's not that, I think some kind of flashback showing that moment, ending with like a young Anakin building 3PO for that. Because I think based off of this trailer, 3PO's sacrifice, whether he's interfacing with some new ship or if they're scanning his memories, which were wiped after Revenge of the Sith, I think ending with that moment of 3PO's light flickering on the first time in Anakin's childhood bedroom would be a really beautiful place and potentially a mind-melting place.
Like a new scene we haven't seen where it's young Jake Lloyd through CGI and he's like in bed or just to the side and 3PO goes and he tucks him in and he's like, "Good night, Master Anakin. You will kill millions one day."
And then 3PO just sits at his bedside with his lights on and his eyes just staring at him as he sleeps.
With a digital.
Robots aren't allowed to sleep. So I'm awake
But he's
all during the
Palpatine
night.
in there or something.
Okay.
I don't like the end, but I did like a lot. Well, you can't be
beautiful.
You can't find the unlikely. Of course, that's terrifying. I do really like the idea though of time travel. I even like it through the Force ghosting because it does 2 things. One, time travel is the one thing that's missing from Star Wars.
They're
Right?
so
They've
close.
literally done everything else. Just throw in time travel. Why not?
Yeah.
And also J.J. Abrams has done time travel before. But 2, also on a J.J. Abrams show, though he wasn't running it by the time, the idea that in death, time is no longer important. You're kind of unstuck in time.
Yeah.
I could totally see this idea that maybe every Force Ghost we've seen, from Yoda way back when to, recently Luke, you could imagine these are all happening to them concurrently. They're just like doing this Force ghosting thing anywhere in time that it's needed. And so maybe one of these times is back then. But the thing that here, you've already earned a Rogie.
I'll take it.
But Eric, the thing that this needs for me to give you a second one is I need to understand what new information we learn about Anakin's conception.
Maybe we learned that I think just revealing someone that we know is Anakin's father. I don't want to say that Palpatine is revealed to be Anakin's father. I think that'd be too much of a downer to end the whole thing, that this weird senator from Naboo found some time to get over to or that Sidious who existed long before.
Some senator had some side thing in a small town.
And I guess it wouldn't be the senator because Palpatine, the senator from Naboo, was a facade. It was really Sidious existed long before he decided politics would be the way to his fame and fortune.
So not Palpatine.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm down with it being somebody that we know, though, and you're saying Palpatine's too much of a downer.
Right.
I'm going to give you a crazy spin then. Who would be an upper, exciting, interesting, Rey is his dad.
How does that work?
What I mean, well, I don't know much about how that works, but I assume two people love each other, a baby happens. But actually, Hirsch me also like I don't know if that matters. No, I think in a non-sexual way, like if we went, it's a little bit emerging Marina's theory a little bit too, but like from what we understand the way the Star Wars universe, DNA, if you catch DNA in your hand, you get a baby. Which I would have many babies of my own right now, but no, but you know what I mean, where it's like maybe there was like some essence of Rey or something that was used to make Anakin, and the only reason I know this is like stupid ridiculous, the only reason that's interesting to me is because we've been worrying this whole time about who are Rey's parents, and it's like, oh, who cares? She's Vader's dad. It's also a little bit the ending of one of the original South Park episodes of trying to figure out who Cartman's dad is, and it turns out to be his mom because his mom's a hermaphrodite.
I mean, if it feels like predestination, right? Like I'm my own grandfather, or
exactly,
So it does make it full circle and cyclical. Do you get the Rogie for that one?
Give yourself a Rogie.
I'll save it, and if anybody needs it, and you can break the glass.
Oh, cool. So she becomes the parent of Space Hitler.
No, but remember at the end he says, "My bad." And then he gets to become like a happy young Force Ghost, even though everybody else doesn't get to do that.
Yeah. It makes sense. It works out.
Actually, I really like all these theories. I think we did a good job of going rogue this week. Who do you guys like the most? Your own theories?
Yes.
I mean, the meat shop at the end. Where there's like a young, because it like is a weird jab at fans. It's like, look, all your favorite characters can live on forever as clones, and then they just burn it down.
Oh, and it's like breaking the fourth wall where there's like a toy store or something where it's like swinging in like
in plastic. Look, they'll be fine forever. And then they burn it down, and then they
like break that when Britain melt little kids' minds. Like, this is how your toys get made. Are you happy? We clone and shrink and hook them. Oh, I love it.
I like it.
Brain melted.
It's ballsy.
Guys, we're going to get to our predictions for season 1 of Watchmen after this quick break to talk about a cool thing that we're doing with New Rockstars.
Hey everyone, Eric here. We here at New Rockstars are super excited for the Rise of Skywalker to come out. Like, we're just kind of buzzing around our office making that R2 screaming sound. Yeah, that's us. But one project we've always wanted to do is a breakdown of each of the classic Star Wars films, the original trilogy plus the prequels, to join the ones that we've done for the more recent films. But our plate is just really full with lots of other things that we want to make for you guys. And each of those breakdowns takes like 2 to 3 times longer than the other videos we make. So, if breakdowns of the original Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith are something you would like to see New Rockstars tackle, please consider becoming a patron of New Rockstars Digital Studios. We are trying to expand our operation here to do even more stuff, and with your help, we can do it. Plus, patrons will receive perks of early access to certain videos and bonus exclusive classic film breakdowns each month. Check out the details for yourself by clicking the link in the description below or by going to patreon.com/newrockstars.
Guys, first episode of HBO's Watchmen series came out last week, and we loved it in that we love to be very confused by things. Mostly we can't stop talking about it. So based on the first episode, we're going to make some predictions on what's going to happen this season. The winner of this prediction round gets to replace Marina's picture, unless Marina wins again, but I have a feeling she's not going to, and I'll tell you why in a second, as whoever's the most accurate. So she's up there because of her El Camino video. So this gets graded in the future when we've seen the first season of Watchmen. The The reason why Marina might not do so well in this is because she has not read the Watchmen comic, and I don't know how anybody's following even just this first episode without having read it.
It's very jarring if you haven't.
But I really like this perspective because I feel like this is more than half of the people that tuned into this episode also did not read the comic, so they're equally as confused. And
I represent a statistically significant percentage of the population,
and I can't wait to hear what your predictions will be.
It will sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
All right, guys. First off, we'll start with Eric. I want to know what Veit's plan is. Is it Veit?
Veit? Adrian Veit?
Either way,
Ozymandias.
Yeah.
Ozymandias,
So Jeremy Irons.
We think, but I believe, that is it.
What's his plan for season 1? What's he up to?
Why is he getting bathed like
Ooh,
that?
okay. So, dude, he's got some weird stuff going on. He's got this remote mansion he lives in. There was a newspaper headline that said he was declared dead.
Yeah.
That's why some people are saying, oh, maybe Jeremy Irons isn't playing. I think he is. I just think this guy is a master of cover-ups. I think he just doesn't want people to think he's alive. My theory is that he is going to be a similar figure to Ford in Westworld. Ford, a lot of people thought he was dead, or a lot of people think he's dead now. I don't know if he is. He's become this architect figure. He has these look like either clones or robots or whatever. People who don't know, they're like Janet. They're like, that's not a knife, that is a horseshoe. Yeah. And there's servants who, I think there's something wrong with that cake. Maybe it's made of wax or something. That's why he's like, okay.
Yeah. Because they can't taste anything.
They can't taste it. They're just trying to please him. I think he's built a household of servants filled with either robots or androids or clones of some kind, and he is the master watchmaker. He's putting on a play called The Watchmaker's Son.
Yeah.
I think his plan is to use these clones to do his bidding, and I think really his bidding is he's trying to clone Dr. Manhattan, and he's trying to genetically engineer the new Dr. Manhattan.
And so Dr. Manhattan would be the Watchmaker?
Would be the Watchmaker's son, because I think in the he'd be the Watchmaker's son. The original comics, his father was a watchmaker. So his play, his narrative is the Watchmaker's son.
That's a great theory.
Marina, how do you grade that based on what you know
based
about
on everything I know? Sounds realistic to me.
I agree. You go
I got a Rogie for that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty good.
All right, Sam, what do you think?
Okay, so from the get-go, we start back in the past. We go further past. We go further back than the comic even goes, and they show us the massacre in Tulsa. Yeah. And we're focusing on one child in particular who is a character in the present day and who has lived. He's lived for far too long, so there has to be some tie to Dr. Manhattan or maybe Ozymandias in some way. My guess, since they are telling a narrative that has to do with, they're mentioning Watchmen, the original comic has to do with time a lot, I think we're going to get time travel. Ooh. I think it's going to go big where Ozymandias, his plan set in motion how the world behaves today. And I think, and also go on HBO's website, they have all these documents that are like the interstitials from the comic that fill in the gaps of what happened between the comic and now. And then explain how he could hide. And I really appreciate it. But my thing is that his whole thing is trying to create a world that has peace, and it's his version of it. So a way to do that is maybe he's using the tachyons that he's used to block out what Dr. Manhattan, and so he can't basically see what Ozymandias' plan is.
Before you explain, go too far in that, explain what happens in the comic around this idea, of the tachyon.
Yeah, I know what's going on, but for those of us...
for Aaron. Basically, at the end of the last comic...
spoilers for the Watchmen comic.
For the comic, yeah. Ozymandias makes a big psychic squid, and he teleports it in the middle of New York City, and it kills a bunch of people, and it basically ends the Cold War.
That's why there were... Who's that?
Little baby squids.
Yeah, I was like, what the F is going on?
The whole point is that, for some reason, a dimensional barrier, that's the narrative, opened, and this came out. And so,
right, they've mentioned that, yeah.
And now we don't have any more threats on Earth. Why would we fight each other when there's going to be squidded in a moment? So, pretty solid.
So did it work?
Yeah, and it worked enough. It worked enough. The tease at the end is that maybe something will come out and it will be outed that this was manufactured. And then there's also teases to that throughout this first episode. And because of the presence of the tachyons during the squid event, Dr. Manhattan, our Superman, was not able to do anything about it. He couldn't see what was happening. So Ozymandias, having access to all this sci-fi gobbledygook, is able to possibly go back in time and rewrite history in some way. I think because they're focusing so hard on the American hero story that we're going to get a lot of info about the first superheroes, the first vigilantes, I think he's going to go back and alter it in some way.
Well, you earned this because time travel happened, and I'm a big fan of time travel. Apparently, this one happened. There you go. Okay, so he's gonna alter time. He has to hide it from Dr. Manhattan, who was not able to stop him last time. So he can't stop him again. But you got to go for it. What is he trying to change about time?
I think he has a grander vision, like he's writing his own play now, like he's creating his own life forms that are helping him out. I think he has a grander vision of what society could be. I think he has an idea of how to achieve peace in just a totally messed up way. And by going back in time, I think
Giant squids.
I think just make the squid show up earlier so that fear is instilled earlier. So we worship the squid by present day.
Exactly.
There we go.
Squid God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like most of that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Marina, what's Ozymandias' real plan?
Oh, well, I for sure know what it is. And
you definitely know which character we're talking about. Because they don't say his name in it.
They don't, but Jeremy Irons is in it.
Yes.
And this is just pretend that you are sitting down to watch Watchmen for the first time, and you did see the Watchmen movie, but it was so long ago, and you only saw it once. So,
and it turns out it doesn't help you either because it's
ignoring that
story.
Oh, okay. Well, then great. And so just imagine that you watch this hour of TV and you don't know any of that information, and then you see squids falling out of the sky and a bunch of people doing a bunch of things that don't make sense, and then Jeremy Irons comes in. And he's rich and he has servants and he says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a play. You know what? I believe him. I think he's going to write a very good play and it's going to be a very good musical as well. And those two actors are going to go on to be stars. And he's an old white Lin-Manuel Miranda.
He's going to Broadway.
He's going to Broadway and he's just going to have a nice career. That's my take.
You know what? Logically, though, it exactly is setting
if you
up Hurd.
just watch that one episode, it makes total sense.
I think it's pretty
do
the
I
Oklahoma
think you gotta-
musical in this.
That's what I'm saying.
Clearly
Musicals are
easy.
very
That would be the
important
most
in this
rogue
world.
before Watchmen.
Yeah.
If
It's
that
most
was just
Rogue,
the story.
yeah, very likely to happen. Somehow you got that both of those.
If you only watch that episode, it makes 100% sense.
Marina got a nonsensical roguey.
Yay!
Very good, very good.
But very sensical, actually. At the same time. Guys, next question. All right, Judd. So Don Johnson's character, Mr. Miami Vice. What is his secret? It feels like there's a secret reason why he ended up the way he did. So what is his secret that we don't know yet?
I think he is the leader of the 7th Cavalry.
Which is the terrorist group.
The
that they're trying to
terrorist
stop.
organization that has taken their inspiration from Rorschach. They wear the masks, they quote him, but they've fused it with their white supremacist agenda. I think he's the leader of that organization. I think he's a racist, and I think he was kind of playing both sides of the Tulsa PD and the 7th Cavalry.
And what's your, you don't have to have any, but what's your pseudo evidence?
Well, he was murdered, and there was a scene at the beginning of the episode, this old silent film with Bass Reeves, and he lassos and he gets the crooked sheriff. He's like, this sheriff has been stealing your cattle. The white hat, they did the reverse of the old Western imagery.
Yeah.
The black hat captured the white hat, and it's like the young Will Reeves watched that, and he's like, listen to the law.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, he does the same thing. He lynches the crooked sheriff. Who's and clearly he's like Johnson's doing weird stuff throughout this episode. He like covers up the evidence. He uses the owl ship to burn this the escaping 7th Cavalry people. He doesn't summon Lady or Sister Knight to do it. Like he calls her late, and he's kind of mad that she got one of the guys ahead of time to interrogate, which led to that cattle farm. Like he's clearly not happy with this being investigated properly.
Yeah.
Erik gets a roguey, first of all, for his theory.
That's great.
That was really good.
That was
And
very
then
good.
he gets a quarter roguey.
Quarter roguey.
For all that delicious evidence.
Little
brown. Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
great.
Also
Got some
throw
thoughts
in
on
there
this.
that picture, right? That
The
they show
picture.
of
Oh, the picture,
as
yeah.
a
Yeah,
little
on his
boy.
desk, yeah.
That's something. I don't know what it is yet, but it's
It
something.
could be that he's a little racist kid, and it's
racist
what's
boy.
really funny about it is it's just a picture of a little maybe blonde boy in black and white, and it feels like something about pop culture taught us like that little boy's a racist.
Racist or the devil.
Exactly. That's
yeah.
an evil little kid. They had color, and he chose not to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
Was he directing Psycho here? Come on.
I think you're on a great track here.
Judd's secret.
Judd's secret. I'd go with that. I think he has ties to the 7th Cavalry, but little twist. In the coming up on Watchmen, we learned that there are business owners who are coming into Tulsa, and they're saying that the future of the world starts here. So I'm going to guess that he has not only ties to the 7th Cavalry, I think he knows about Ozymandias. I think he has ties.
Jeremy Irons, the
Jeremy
playwright,
Irons.
you mean?
Yes, the play. One, he wants to bring the play there. It'll be that's the new Broadway in this new world. But also, I think he has ties to what it means for the future of law enforcement and vigilantes, and that could have ties to big business. And there's a lot of political drama that's going behind the scenes in this world. We hear talk of the blue wave after Nixon left office and with Robert Redford. But in a more general sense, I think that Judd is responsible for possibly a newer threat coming in that is not just the 7th Cavalry, and I think it has ties to the new presidency and Ozymandias. And
the way to the top.
In a
Yeah,
more
he just
specific
topped
sense.
I love that.
Thank you. I don't have anything else after
secret-
that. Yeah.
His secret is that he's got ties.
He's got
A
ties.
whole room full.
But like
All
grand ties.
Talking
That's crazy.
long-reaching ties.
Yeah, that's
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
So you kind of did the Price is Right move of take Eric's theory
Yeah.
and add 1 cent above that.
But not
Totally
over.
valid.
But not
But not over.
Yeah, that's what gets a Rogie.
Whee!
It gets
full
a Rogie.
one.
Yeah.
A full one.
We're getting
All
close.
right, Marina, what's Don Johnson's secret?
Don Johnson, mine's pretty short and sweet. It's simple. Is that he's a good guy now, but he didn't used to be because he grew up based on that old picture. This is how you know. Well, whatever. Something about me is like I saw that old picture of him and an old white dude, and I was like, oh, old white men, they teach you how to be racist. So that was like my automatic thought.
That golf.
Golf, yeah, this guy's a golfer for sure. And he has committed like bad crimes in the past, but it's like when he was anonymously in whatever that group is called, and he changed his ways. He's a good cop now, like genuinely, he's on the side of goodness or whatever, but he never paid for those crimes. So him doing whatever happens to him at the end is his payment for those crimes that nobody knows about.
I actually really like
Yeah,
this.
because the lesson
do
in the
like
movie
it.
is that
Yeah.
justice always prevails. So eventually it caught up to him.
I will assume that that's true, having seen one episode. Yes.
I was going to give you a full Rogie, but then you kind of like shot yourself in the foot there at the end, so you get a quarter one.
Corner.
Because it's really, really great, but then it sounds like you're not 100% sure about your own thing. Or what do you think?
He said that based on In This World of Watchmen,
You told me.
you said justice always prevails. And having seen one episode, I don't know that that's true yet, but I believe you, so it makes me more right.
Gotcha. All right. I regret giving you only a quarter. I'm taking it back.
Yes.
Marina gets
I have
a
a
full
full-
Rogie. I'm actually most on board with Marina's theory. on that
Yeah.
one, but I think we might lose her here. What's going on with Dr. Manhattan? Also,
Okay.
did you notice he was in the episode, Marina?
No. Also, who is that? No, I know he's a big
plastic
naked,
surgeon in New
blue
York.
naked guy. That's what I know who he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. Yeah.
So, Dr. Manhattan, we know will be part of the show. We saw him on Mars demolishing his castle, which, if you notice, looks very similar to the castle that Veidt, Jeremy Irons, lives in the
Really?
English countryside, wherever he is. It has the same architectural shape and design.
Like he's doing a practice run?
Yeah, there's something with that. I don't know if he's doing a practice run and that's like his practice. I think that is Dr. Manhattan on Mars. I don't think Veidt has a capability to travel to another planet yet. But I think the Dr. Manhattan is going to come back at some way. We've seen, in the upcoming weeks and with the trailer, he's going to be there. I think either he is going to have to confront this proto Dr. Manhattan, kind of like Superman confronting Lex Luthor's proto Superman that he's built, Bizarro, or what we're going to see is Dr. Manhattan has been involved with everything we've seen in this fictional Watchmen timeline from the beginning. I might be looking into it, but in the opening scene of when the young Will Reeves gets the baby and he looks at this crash that he was in, there's this weird blue lens flare that seems like it's coming from the headlights, but the way this lens flare is, it's not just like a J.J. Abrams lens flare.
Yeah.
This is like, it seems specific. And the way that Don Johnson was, when he was blinded by this bluish light, Regina King was blinded by a bluish light. I think like Dr. Manhattan may be helping Will Reeves' character
Oh, cool.
string up this body, that he's like guiding his old, this old friend. I believe that Will Reeves is actually Hooded Justice, by the way. But I believe he's guiding his old
believe that's
former
a character.
Minutemen. And he's now involved in like rearranging all the historical events because he's so apathetic. He's removed from space and time. He can see the past, present, and future all at the same time. He's just like trying to rearrange events so that they go according to this specific plan, which involves like killing Don Johnson's character.
Kind of like another Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
He's all the options, except he has no shame about being like, you know what, I'm just going to change everything
Yeah.
to go how I want it.
And then it will end with just like all of this reality collapsing in on itself and just becoming the reality that we know it to be. That this is all just like some cautionary tale that's inside Dr. Manhattan's vision of like how things could go if like history played out differently and if superheroes existed.
Whoa.
Interesting.
That blows
I mean,
my
That
that's
doesn't
pretty rogue.
totally make sense.
pretty rogue.
But it will by the end of the series.
That was a direct attack on Sam.
It felt like it.
Yeah, Sam, can you beat that?
Okay, so at the end of the Watchmen comic and the movie, old long dong Dr.
See,
Manhattan.
that's how I know who he
Yeah.
is. He's a big blue naked guy.
long dong
Oh,
dong
long
Johnson.
dong.
Blue
Yeah.
Wayne Group. Yeah.
So he at the end is like, you know what, Ozymandias, I don't care anymore. He decides to say, like that classic Futurama meme where the professor flies away off the planet. He doesn't want to live there anymore. Dr. Manhattan does that for the whole universe. He says, you know what,
He's like,
I'm done.
bye.
I'm done with this BS. I'm leaving. You guys figure out. All I'll say is, you think this is gonna work, and this does not. And then he says deuces and he leaves.
Yeah.
What if we're not actually looking at the Watchmen universe that's from the comic or from the movie in this show? What if he actually did leave the universe, and the reason why he's hanging out on Mars is because he's now observing a new Earth. So once he comes down to Earth, because we know he will, he puts on a nice suit, he orders a salad at a diner or something. He does something I don't think he needs to eat. I think he's now just observing how this universe will play out the events that he witnessed in another universe. So I think he is
the TV version of
the
Watchmen.
TV version of Dr. Manhattan that we're going to see is he is just a casual observer of what is happening. He is not making any specific actions or reactions, and I think Ozymandias is going to try to take advantage of him in some way, but I don't think he's an actual threat throughout this entire show. I think
He's a watcher.
just a watcher. That's it. I think that's all that's going to happen.
He's a
Dong will
watchman.
be here, and I promise it will be. HBO's got the budget for it. Larger than ever, but I don't think he's going to be an actual threat in this show. I think Ozymandias is the real threat, and I think Dr. Manhattan is like a false lead.
Gotcha. So he'll basically do
He's
nothing.
on vacation. He's too expensive for
It's
the
pretty
people.
pretty rogue to have that.
Yeah, that's pretty rogue.
That is
Not
pointless.
do anything. Yeah, there
Thank
you go. You get a point.
I got a full one.
Ask me my idea.
I don't know if we have time.
No, it's very short. No, please.
Marina, what's Dr. Manhattan up
Okay,
to?
so you think Dr. Manhattan isn't a threat, but I think he's a triple threat. And he auditions for Jeremy Irons' play and books the lead. He's a dancer, he's a singer, he's an actor, and he goes on to have a fabulous career on and off Broadway.
That's pretty good.
The applause is all the reward you get for that. You don't get another
As is the
point.
case for most stage performers.
Yeah,
the
it's
applause
very
is
true,
reward
yeah.
because they are not
Take
paid.
a bow,
Yeah.
Marina, for that. Guys, I enjoyed all of these. I don't think that we're going to be very right at all, but we'll see.
I think I might have a chance.
I like that you keep calling him Jeremy Irons. I hope they start calling him that on the show too.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm Jeremy Irons in that weird voice he's doing. Guys, it's almost wrapped up. I do see that Eric's actually in the lead.
How is that
No.
possible?
4.25, but
Good
Just
work.
by one.
there is, just as we wrap up here, there is one last way things can change. Just a reminder that the winner with most points at the end gets their wish to come true, and I have your wishes here.
Okay.
But this is our final chance for points, and these are rogue questions.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's Halloween next week.
Yes.
Pitch me, what's the best nerd costume you can have this year?
Dr. Manhattan, you just paint yourself up and you just walk outside.
I'll remind you, it's a children's holiday. But
I I stand by my choice.
Quarter protein for Marina.
Honestly, if you really want to scare the kids, do Iron Man after his face got melted off when he snapped his fingers.
Oh, that's scary.
I'll put it out there. If you want to do real scary, that's how you do Halloween.
It's
I put
also
that on my
very
Instagram
sad.
story, bro. It's just like, I mean, you have to, right? It's the most recent version of Iron Man.
Zombie
do
Iron
that.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do Cap and Peggy dancing with each other. So like one arm is Cap's arm, Peggy's the other arm.
You're the like
so
risque
cute.
guy at prom in 1999
Yeah.
or something. Where it's like, I did two-sided.
It's like a message. It's a hidden message
Yeah,
of
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm both of these things,
That's
or
cute.
neither.
Eric,
Screw
it's
you with your labels.
A quarter. Guys, real question. Director Pedro Almodovar said this week that Marvel movies lack sexuality. What's the sexiest of the Marvel movies, though?
This is easy. No problem. Oh, sorry, you seem like
No. By all means.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Just because it has Paul Rudd.
It has Paul Rudd, but it also has Evangeline Lilly.
Yes,
Put that out there. You
definitely.
get Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer together, and they're hugging and possibly kissing. I don't know if they're allowed to kiss in Marvel movies. I think they are. Pretty sure. And you get, well, those are all you need. I think Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer are all the sexual energy you need in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Ragnarok's pretty sick. We were a frame away from Hulk Dick in that movie. A frame away from Hulk Dick.
You checked.
Yeah, I went frame by frame. This is insane.
I'm gonna say all the early Iron Mans because he's just an F machine. He just goes through with ladies at leisure and pleasure at his own pace.
Pleasure and pleasure. I don't have enough blocks to keep giving them out. Wait, no, I do. Okay, you get one,
Yay!
and you get one, and then can you give that one to Eric down at the end? I'll also throw out there that the correct answer about that last one was definitely Scarlett Johansson is just tickling Hulk's palm. It's
yeah.
like big guys
Age of
waking
Ultron.
up.
That's right. Yeah.
Whatever, their little hand foreplay.
Yeah,
All
that's true.
And last row question. Oh, and it works out nicely. I do have one last block I can give out. It's one that was given to me.
Oh my God.
Sebastian Stan, who plays the Winter Soldier, said in an interview that his new Wakanda-made arm it gonna have some new tricks.
Ooh.
What's the least expected new trick that arm could have?
Spinning a basketball, Harlem Globetrotter style.
Does it play the music? Does it play the music? Does it play the music?
Dang, that's the best answer in the world.
Oh my God, the Globetrotters are suing us for using it. Throw a basketball.
And I think that means that Eric is probably our
Yeah,
winner of
he
this
wins.
episode.
Yes.
Rogue
Yes.
Theory.
6.5.
Sam, we don't have the rights to that song. Marina's, that'd be great, but
I'll do it
not
again.
happening.
I'll do it
Another
again.
time. And then Eric's. Everything everyone says for the rest of the episode, we must sing it to the melody of the Star Wars theme song.
Yes.
I already messed that up.
Yeah. So you you have to talk like this
yeah.
for the rest of the
show.
episode. If you don't, you'll
That's it
be
for this
in
episode
trouble.
of Rogue Theory. Thanks so much for going rogue with us. Thanks to our guests, Sam Bashor, Marina Mastros, and Erik Voss. Do you have anything to plug?
We got some great videos to come to the channel about what's really in that vault that Rey and Kylo are in the trailer.
Follow us all on Twitter. All of us on Twitter. Rogue Theory. Hashtag what? Yeah, go.
Am I allowed to plug something?
Yeah.
Or follow me at Sam Bashor on Twitter. There you go.
Dun 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 dun.
Watchmen breakdown. Watchmen breakdown.
Guys, don't forget to get this as a podcast so you could listen to this nonsense. And follow us on Twitter at New Rockstars. Follow me at Filup Molina on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you guys so much.
Filup Molina.
Filup
Molina.
Molina.
He is on Twitter.
He did not commit those crimes.